So, this I would be remiss of me if I didn't get into this for our readers. But so My Dying Bride, you put out Mortal Binding, which was, in my mind, your best album of recent times.
Oh, thank you very much.
I think it's solid.
I think it's pretty good.
Just production-wise, everything about it. I was listening to it again today, and the one word that I get is chunky. It's really chunky. It's a solid.
Production's massive.
Yeah. So you put that out, and then went on. I hate the word hiatus, but a bit of a break, as it were. Can you elaborate at all?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked relentlessly in My Dying Bride without a manager. Me and Andrew managed the band as best we could over the years. We've had people interested in managing, but it's never really paled off. And sometimes when you're doing the admin, it really takes away from the artistic side of things. You've got taxmen to deal with and politics and blah, blah, blah. And me and Andy, we've argued the toss like a married couple for years and years and years.
Absolutely.
Artwork, lyrics. I normally pretty much get away with lyrics, but artwork particularly. And I think as we're both becoming grumpy old men, we've just got a bit loggerheaded like that. We've said, let's take a break before we have a massive bust up. Even though it's a rubbish time to take a break because the album is just coming out, but everyone just thought, you two just take a breather. Take some time away. It happens to loads of bands.
Absolutely.
And then come back. It's a bad time to take it. We'd had gigs booked and everything, and I apologised profusely to people who bought tickets and were coming to see us. But we just needed a break before we blew our heads off.
I'm sure your fans would rather that you took a break than that.
Yeah, rather than go completely off the rails. So we're taking a breather. And I know some people are going to say, oh, is it because of High Parasite? Well, High Parasite's been going for 3 years.
Yeah.
So how can it be High Parasite? It's not High Parasite. As I mentioned before, My Dying Bride have huge gaps in the things that we do. 3 years between albums, 12 shows a year. I can fit 3 or 4 more bands in those spaces, no problem whatsoever. High Parasite's got nothing to do with it whatsoever. We're just taking a breather because if we don't, MDB will be over.
Yeah.
When we come back, we don't know yet. We will be coming back. I just don't know when. But weirdly, the timing is almost perfect for me because High Parasite, it's like one door closes, another one opens, and it's just like, this is amazing. I've got more breathing room than I expected I would have.
Absolutely.
It's a shame, as I say, we had live gigs booked for My Dying Bride.
Sure.
That's not fair on the fans, but I'm afraid it was either save the band or lose the band. So we decided to save the band.
Yeah, losing the band would be more of a shame.
Yeah, of course it would. So I've now got some breathing space, so I'm shoving High Parasite in, and the poetry reading, and this could be an exclusive.
Oh.
Myself and Mark Deeks, the songwriter from, actually the band is pronounced Arth, but everyone calls them Ard because it looks like a D. Myself and Mark are looking at forming a band between us.
Wow.
So I'm going to be very busy in the next couple of years, and if when My Dying Bride comes back into it, My Dying Bride will always get priority.
Obviously.
You can't dismiss 33 years of...
Absolutely.
They're so well established. They're so legendary. You can't, you can't say, this is more important than that. It doesn't work like that. And so I suspect the next maybe 10 years are going to be the busiest of my entire career, which I think is really exciting.
That's
slightly nerve-wracking, but super exciting. And it's allowing me to do things. As I say, I didn't realise I wanted to do them until someone's given me the opportunity. Why don't you have a go at this? Oh, I'm not really sure. And then friends and family have said, do it because you'll kick yourself if you don't do this later on. So I'm now open to other ideas and I'm doing these things and thoroughly enjoying it.
Well, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about enjoying it. I've often said this to other musicians and stuff like that. I said, basically, if you're going to want to be making music in your life, you better enjoy it.
Oh, God,
because if you don't, it'll be miserable.
You don't want to be... Yeah, because when music arrives, because it's not old school. Old school, you'd be at rehearsal, and that's where the songs would arrive, and you'd record them on a cassette tape, take them home. Now it's all emails and digital. That's fine because we've all got mini studios, and it's easy, and it's very helpful to do it that way. So when a piece of music comes in, you see it in your email waiting. If you're not into it, you'll think, I'll read that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow comes, I'll read it. Well, I'll wait for the weekend when I've got more time. If you're putting it off, you're not really into it anymore.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be doing that. As soon as that email arrives, you should be all over it.
Absolutely.
And devouring the stuff and getting your teeth right into it. And if you're not really doing that, then maybe you're not quite as enthusiastic as you used to be.
Maybe you're unconsciously editing yourself.
I think perhaps that might be the case. Yeah.
I always think that there is a filter that, especially when I'm working on music and stuff like that. If I want to jump on it, like you say, straight away, that's a keeper. That's going to be one that's, we all know the ones that go off into the little folder that lives on a dusty shelf on your computer. Like,
I know.
I'll come back to it.
I've done it a couple of times in the past, but it's not because I don't want to get into the song. Sometimes when the song arrives, you can just tell by the size of the file, it's 15 minutes long. And you need time for that to absorb. If you're running out the house or you're about to do your shopping, you can't. There's no point knocking it out before you go because you're thinking, do we need tomatoes or not? You know what I mean? You need to dedicate serious time to absorbing that.
Absolutely.
Really getting into your heart and soul.
Especially when you consider your music, with My Dying Bride especially, which is deep, romantic, theatrical music. So getting back to that, last time I saw you play live was with the wonderful gig of the year last year for me, which was you and Paradise Lost both celebrating your 30th.
That was brilliant.
30th anniversaries in Bradford at the Queen's Hall. It was perfect. Everything about it was perfect. Loved that night.
St George's Hall.
St George's Hall. I'll edit that out. I always get that wrong. Yes, and one thing that did come across, because it's quite salubrious, that hall, so it was wonderful to see My Dying Bride on that stage, and I'm taking photos as well. I was in the photo pit for that one, so it was a great one. And one thing that struck me, especially being that up close and personal in the photo pit, was the theatricality, and you almost seem on stage like you're playing a character, several characters over the space of the performance.
That's correct.
Is that inspiration coming from theatre? Is it?
Well, I've never done theatre, but when I write songs, some songs contain characters who are, for some strange reason, not having a very nice time.
Obviously.
And that's why singing them live is difficult, because I know what this character is going through and I know what's coming. And so you're emotionally involved in that. And the expressions just come out. I'm not acting for the sake of acting. The muscles just do this, and it just feels natural when you're evoking the characters and the things that's going on in their lives. And that's why, sometimes you're crying and you're banging on the floor and you're fucking angry. It's just I have to. I never planned to do that. It just came out. And I know some people probably think, what's he doing all that for? Just sing the songs at us. But I can't do that.
It doesn't look contrived at all. It looks like you are literally becoming that.
Yeah, and I sometimes say to people, I'd love to just show up at a venue, jeans and t-shirt, just walk on stage, not even got chains, no makeup, fuck all, but just rock and shout at the crowd and do all that. And people have re-informed me, but that's not My Dying Bride. People want the theatre of My Dying Bride. The music generates that sort of imagery. You can't show up in jeans and a t-shirt in My Dying Bride.
No.
It just does not work at all. And so we get involved in the whole theatre of a live My Dying Bride performance. And it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
In the dressing room, sort of half an hour before we go on stage, we put a little bit of makeup on and we're all getting our smart clothes on, and it's silence. It's almost like we're preparing for some sort of conflict. And we're getting our battle armour on and our war paint. And we need to go out there and we need to win. And that's kind of how it feels. And then, you stood in at the side of the stage and you're taking deep breaths and you're like, oh my God. And it's like an athletic event or a blind date. Your heart's going absolutely nuts. And then when you walk out on stage, the roar from the audience is mesmerising. And then off you go into the performance. And again, I don't plan what I'm doing. It just happens.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's just who I am, and that's why I'm not sure how it's going to work with Parasite, because that dark emotion isn't there. It's gothic rock music. It's more of a fun element, and it's so much more punchy. I don't know if I'm going to come out constantly punching the air and rocking and shaking my massive shaggy plume all over the place. I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen the evolution of My Dying Bride stage show from when I first saw you. First place I ever saw you was, of course, Bradford Rio's.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, and it was just after Turn Loose the Swans.
Wowzers,
so it was going back some, and. I mean, even then, though, I remember there being a sensification about the show, even on that, that rickety old stage at Rio. But it was something magical about Bradford at that time, and Rio's especially, and all the bands and everything. It was a phenomenal performance. But watching it evolve throughout these years, where you've supported Iron Maiden and you've done your big European success and all of that, and it's turned into this theatre, this event that in my mind had more in common for me as like when I went to see Heilung or something like that, where you've got that real sense of occasion. I mean, Heilung's like an exaggerated...
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
But the ritualistic kind of, you feel like you're witnessing something, And as I get older, I'm more of a fan of that kind of event.
Yes.
And I think it shows, is it metal getting culture? I suppose. Is it getting cultured?
There's a little bit of that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, bearing that in mind, you're going to hate Parasite live then, because there's absolutely, I'm presuming there's going to be absolutely none of that sort of, everybody feels like they're part of a cult, or there's a ritual happening tonight, which only the select few are involved in. It's fucking in-your-face heavy metal.
Absolutely.
And that's how I want it to be. I need to break out the shell.
Absolutely.
And just, I mean, I've no idea what we're going to do. And we are having one full day of rehearsals in a studio that's set up like a gig.
Right.
Because I don't even know where I'm supposed to be standing on stage. And I don't know who's on that side, I don't know who's on that side. I know the drummer's at the back.
Right.
That's all I know. So it would be quite nice to know roughly who's there and who's there.
Yeah, because it's been the same people there all these years.
Yeah, exactly. Now when I look round, it's not going to be the same people. The crowd, I think, for the most part, will be very similar. But the people on stage will be completely different, and the music will be completely different. So we're going to one dress rehearsal, because again, I don't really know what to wear. I'm not wearing the same clothes as I wore for My Dying Bride. That's special, and that stays where it is. There might be the odd shirt that comes across, but I'm not going to do that. And I won't be painting my hands like I did with My Dying Bride, because that's
a My Dying Bride thing.
And so I don't know what I'm going to wear for Parasite. I've got a white suit which we wore in the video, so I might wear that.
Yeah.
Again, we'll just see.
It'll evolve into what it is.
It will, yeah, and it will be nice, because in 5 or 6, 7 years' time, we might look back at this first gig and go, "What were we doing? Look at the state of us. We had no idea whatsoever, and we haven't got any idea." So let's just see how it goes.
It's been like 30 years since that with My Dying Bride. I mean, I'm sure there's some missteps in the early days of My Dying Bride when you involved some theatre and some fake blood or something.
Yeah, true. Yeah. There was a time in the old days. We used to have a great lighting engineer. Was it Paddy? Oh, I forgot his name. And so we had loads of lights, loads of dry ice. And then we also used to light incense sticks at the front of the stage, because we wanted people to see My Dying Bride, hear My Dying Bride, smell My Dying Bride, and feel My Dying Bride.
Right.
We wanted a full immersive experience.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Yeah.
And you look back now and think, well, it's a bit pretentious, but we were a pretentious band. We wanted people to enjoy the theatre of an event rather than standard heavy metal or whatever. We used to go to Slayer concerts, and it was amazing. The thrashness of it was that's just what you want with Slayer, fury and anger.
Oh yeah.
So with My Dying Bride, we wanted people to really get into that feel that this is a special gig, and it's not like all the others on the list of gigs I'm going to this year. And so we tried to make it as special as possible, and we always did. We didn't do the incense sticks for very long. It was just an idea, and I think we stopped that because every time I took a breath to sing death metal vocals, It was really hard with the dry ice.
Yeah.
It became a bit of a challenge, so we probably stopped it because of that.
Well, one of the reasons why I'm calling these the sort of masterclass interviews, and yourself and other prominent people who, through my musical education, is because My Dying Bride was the first time I'd heard a band play metal that slowly, and the man who I'm going to see next week is the first time I'd heard metal played that fast. Mm-hmm. So two sides of the same coin, both very pioneering acts. I mean, there'd been slow doom before My Dying Bride, obviously, but My Dying Bride's version of it was the most, I mean, because it wasn't straight up doom metal, because it had thrash metal delivery, which was just so new to me, and tracks that were like, CME, which is, I mean, Funeral Doom is its own thing now. It never was then, was it?
No.
Yeah, so did you feel like you were pioneering something?
No, we just wrote.
Just did what felt natural?
I think because half the band liked doom and the other half liked death metal. And we all sort of liked, there was a crossover, obviously. And I quite liked opera and theatrics. So I wanted to do doom with some death, with gothic overtones. And other members wanted to do predominantly death metal with some doom and happy to do the gothic stuff. So we somehow blended it all together, which it could have failed miserably because the doom fans may have thought there's too much death metal. I hate it. The death metal fans could have thought there's too much doom, not interested. But somehow we got the ingredients just about right. And everybody loved it, which meant we played death metal festivals, doom festivals, and gothic festivals, and have done, since those early days. And so we get the doom fans, the death metal fans, and the goths all loving My Dying Bride, and people who just like heavy metal.
Yeah.
Because I think they understand there's good quality music going on here. They might not understand the music, but I think they understand that the work that's gone into producing these songs has been well thought out.
Absolutely, it always sounds crafted.
Yeah, we don't. My Dying Bride, we don't know how to knock up a song. We know how to write them and craft them and compose them properly, and that's why sometimes they take quite a long time, and that's sometimes why they're quite long. Everybody's got their input, and when you've got 6 people in the band all putting their ideas in, the songs can swell a little bit, which is great. Anyway, people want epics from My Dying Bride, and that's what we deliver.
That's brilliant. So the High Parasite album's going to be with us. Do we have a date?
27th of September.
27th of September, which should be around about the same time you'll be reading this. And people are up for a damn treat.
Yeah, and the album comes out on Friday the 27th. And we're performing it on Saturday the 28th.
Oh, now that's up.
people need to buy it and listen to it as fast as possible to be able to thoroughly, get into it. But then, and then as I say, we go on tour with Cradle October, November, and in fact we've got 3 Dutch shows.
Yes,
just
I saw that.
Early October, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I think we're in the Netherlands, which is great. On the strength of a few songs, I think it's absolutely brilliant. So exciting times ahead, and I'm kind of nervous, but excited at the same time.
Well, it's a great way to birth it. It's over spooky season with Cradle of Filth.
I know. I think
that's proper Halloween.
On Halloween, I think we're in London as well. So
wow,
it's going to be a great gig.
Oh well,
absolutely great.
You'll have to find a costume for that one.
Yeah, I mean we'll probably only have 20 minutes on stage, but it doesn't matter. We'll be there for the whole theatre.
Absolutely,
the whole night will be great.
That's incredible. Well, we'll watch out for you on tour. Thank you so much for being with us.
Cheers, my pleasure.
And it's been an absolute pleasure as ever.
Thank you very much. Cheers.